I love The Matrix. I've watched this movie so many times, and even though Reloaded and Revolutions were a big step down from the original, I still enjoyed them. I've analyzed and broken down these films so many times in my head. The lore and the world that the Wachowskis built here is just incredible. Now, some people may believe that the first Matrix film is a bit overrated, and I kind of get where they're coming from, but listen, all film is subjective, but The Matrix for me is in my top favorite films of all time. So after the first film being such a success in 1999, they started production on the next two follow-up films back to back, and including a video game titled Enter the Matrix. They went ham on this franchise and released it all in 2003. I'll get to my opinions on how I feel about Enter the Matrix in another future video, but I'll sum it up quickly by saying this. I grew up playing the video game, and while I enjoyed it, there was obviously a lot of technical issues with the game and some just downright horrible mechanics, but I'll get into that into a future video down the line. After releasing all this stuff in the matter of a single year, it wasn't until 2 years later that we get two of the final Matrix progs WB can throw at us, Matrix Online and Matrix The Path of Neo. I'm not even going to get into the Matrix Online besides saying that while it looked interesting, I never played it, and it was ultimately a failure in the Matrix community anyways. So now here we are, with The Matrix Path of Neo, published by Atari and developed by Shiny Entertainment, the same people who did Enter the Matrix and Earthworm Jim. Yeah. Released in 2005 for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and PC, this game was a direct tie into the three films, taking you from being a desk worker at the cubicle and fighting your way through on being a cyberpunk second coming of Jesus. Now, some video games based on movies will have cutscenes that are taken directly straight from the movie just to add some context like King Kong did with their video game that came out the same year. However, with Path of Neo, this happens after every major level is completed, and I'm fine with it, obviously, since I would rather watch the clips from the movie edited down together for the video game than have the developers recreate scenes from scratch on their own with their engine, because the graphics for this game fucking sucks dick. Like, holy shit, bro. This was 2005, a year before the PS3 came out, the same year as the Xbox 360. Even games on the PS2 in 2005 looked way better than this horse shit. Gran Turismo 4 that came out a year before this, God of War, Resident Evil 4. I understand that graphics aren't what make or break a video game, but they could have at least done something with the lighting or even gave an ounce of a fuck about the geometry of this game. Like, look at this shit. What the fuck am I looking at here? Like I said, graphics aren't everything, but when you have cutscenes in your game, it just ends up being more of a bit of a distraction because they put very little care into what this game looks like. But moving on. Like I said, I have no issue with the movie clips being what tells the story, because with these N64 graphics, I would rather watch the movie than have Shiny Entertainment do it themselves. Wait, what's going on? It's the fight with Bane from the third movie. Am I gonna fight him here? No? Am I just gonna watch? But these are the game graphics. They wouldn't do this unless I was gonna play the level. What? What the fuck was the point of that? Alright, moving on from the Commodore graphics, how is the game itself? I feel like if you are a big fan of The Matrix, then you're going to enjoy yourself. The first thing the game does is drop you into this level where you fight a bunch of enemies, and depending on how long you survive fighting these waves of enemies is what you'll be recommended on what difficulty setting you play on. I don't mind this, and I understand where they were going with this, so I appreciate it. The combat is also really fun at times, especially with all the different combos you can chain together, especially on multiple enemies at once. You get a pretty wide variety of weapons to choose from, like submachine guns, assault rifles, miniguns, grenade launchers, staves, hatchets, and even swords. This is really good for the first third of the game when you are playing through the events of the first movie, when you aren't really Super Neo yet and Reloaded, but then once we get to the events of Reloaded, the weapons can become almost obsolete because you can just stop bullets in its place. Use your powers to pick up weapons and hurl them at enemies, and hit the ground hard enough to push your enemies away from you, but at some point you will still use guns if you're still just trying to get through a level without having to put any effort in. So as I said, the hand-to-hand combat can be fun, but the guns and aiming system is a bit wonky. Sometimes you can kill an enemy and the game will still be aiming at him for some reason, so you can be a bit confused as to if you killed him or not. The camera is a bit weird as well, seeing how sometimes Neo will be looking one way while fighting an enemy. The only thing that bothers me is that sometimes the fighting can feel very unresponsive at times because I'll be fighting an enemy and my attacks just aren't doing anything. I'll be pressing triangle to punch or kick, but nothing is happening. It's very frustrating, and then Neo can sometimes get stunned. So he'll either just be standing there waiting for you to smash square or just keep trying to dodge enemy attacks. This is so annoying because I feel like Neo will just get stunned for no reason. I'll be fighting and then boom, I can't do anything now. It just ruins the pace of the combat and is very frustrating. The length of the game is probably around 8 to 10 hours of gameplay if you take your time. A pretty short game, but not surprising seeing how they only had so much to work with since the movies didn't do too much with Neo outside of the first film to be put in the video game. By the time you finish the events of Reloaded and enter Revolutions, you go straight to the end of that film and fight Smith for the survival of the human race. So they really stretch out the stories of the films by making you actually do the training simulations in the first film instead of just watching Neo learn everything. At the start of the game, you actually have the ability to escape the agent's grasp and meet Morpheus immediately. The stretching of the story really hits you once you enter Reloaded and started doing missions that were never even remotely a possibility in the film. The Chateau fight is great, but in the film, after Neo fights everyone, he leaves the castle and flies to save Morpheus. In the game, however, you are doing a bunch of missions that make utterly no sense besides stretching out the story and gameplay out. These missions can be a bit fun, and they reference even some of the events of the Animatrix, which I thought was cool, but sometimes it just gets ridiculous. And when I say that, I mean ridiculous.
Lucky me.
What the fuck am I playing right now? So the voice acting for this game is alright. They couldn't get the main cast to come back and voice their characters, probably due to budget restraints, but they got Lawrence Fishburne back, so that's a plus. So I waited until the end of the review to bring this up, because when I stated that they really had to stretch out the story and create their own levels that were never even a thing in the films, they really did that with the last level when fighting Smith. So if you remember in the last movie how Agent Smith assimilates Neo and creates his final copy of himself, Neo goes haywire due to him being connected to the source of the machine world, which essentially deletes the Smith virus from the Matrix. The end. Well, that isn't exciting enough for a video game, so this is what they do. Just watch. So first things first. Where the fuck did the budget come from for the cinematic to look this good? Why couldn't they do this with the Bane fight? This looks fucking awesome. Why couldn't the whole game look like this? But no, we get this shit. But whatever. So the other Smiths decide to group up and create what I like to call Monster Smith. It's a boss battle that once you get a handle of the combat for this sequence, you can beat it in like 5 minutes. So you destroy Smith, save the Matrix, the human race is finally free, and we get Queen as the end credits song, the end. Man, what a ride. So this is a pretty fun beat 'em up. However, the graphics suck, the controls could have been worked on a little bit more, and I believe that they could have done more believable things with the missions besides giving us this shit. Now, if you love The Matrix as much as I do, then I feel like you will still enjoy this game, but don't expect greatness. Hopefully with the new Matrix film coming out, we can get a new video game along with it that is very compelling and fun. Guys, my name is Pedro Ordonez, also known as GameLight7. Please subscribe, comment, like, thumbs up, do whatever you guys can to support this channel. Let me know what you guys want me to cover next, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.